Okay, here we go. Jamie here, Benty, Bent Trading, doing my first video in a car at the Burlington Mall in Massachusetts. I don't have any script, I don't have anything big to share this first video. I figured I just gotta start somewhere and let it evolve, because what I found is I made a million excuses and delayed things for such a long time that I just have to start somewhere. And I was sitting in this mall watching retailers, go in, retail shoppers going in to buy things. I'm going to return something for my wife at Macy's. So I parked way over here, and I figured I'd just do a quick video. There's a couple guys I've watched that they do that. They're just, granted they're in Dubai or someplace more interesting than the Burlington Mall in Massachusetts, but they're still sharing just genuine, authentic stuff, saying this is what I'm doing. Now, this channel is about stocks, options, cryptocurrencies, and real estate. And I don't have all the answers. I just figure I'm a middle-aged guy with 4 kids that works a job, does, pretty decent, thank God, humbly. And that has been interested in stocks for about 3 years before I just made investments in my Freedom Fund for Fidelity, making contributions, hoping my owner, the company, would match, a certain amount, so I can get the maximum contributions, and then IRAs and Roth IRAs and just basic stuff. No idea. No one's taught me this is how it works, this is what it should be, or anything like that. I've had to figure it out on my own. Real estate, credit, and in the past 3 years, stocks, now options, and cryptocurrency more recently, which is a big topic. I'm a little bit slower, to bat. I like to kind of assess it. I don't like to rush in. I have in the past, and with certain things. And I can give all kinds of analogies, but I like to kind of figure things out on my own, whether I fail or succeed, because I think it helps to kind of stick. So of all the several hundreds of hours, I don't want to say thousands of hours, but at least over 1,000 hours of watching different people in that space, in that sphere. I've spent money on courses, I've listened to these things, I've read stuff, I've ordered stuff, I got scammed, I've spent and lost tens of thousands of dollars impetuously jumping into trading, because I thought, oh, this will just, I made $5,000, which is a very small amount, with 500 on Robinhood. I'm like, this is easy. And then I lost it, and I went up higher and lower. But all the things that we can share, because there's a lot of experts that are trying to convince you to join their group, or join their, sign up for their courses, or get on their Patreon, or their, whatever their digital service or product is. And some of them are good people. Some of them are legit, and it's worth the investment, whatever it is, whether it's monthly or one-time fee. But you got to be careful. And my thought is, as I'm over here, I'm like, what can I share? Because I like this kind of stuff. What can I contribute? And a lot of it's documenting. So we have another channel that my daughters, my 2 youngest, I have 4 kids, but my 2 daughters are 5 and 8. They wanted to do something. And I'm like, oh, let's do something for fun, so that when they're older, they can look at that. And here, this is more as this is what I'm into. Some people are into sports. They're sports enthusiasts. They go to the games. They know the stats, the players. I don't know all that stuff. I'm interested in stocks, options, cryptocurrencies, and real estate. And the time is more relevant to me than it was 10, 20 years ago. Meaning, there's more of an urgency that I have now than I did, 10, 20 years ago. And also, I wasn't really able to learn. I didn't have the aptitude, the mindset to learn certain things. My mind was somewhere else, and mostly just trying to earn money in my career, my job, and excel and do well. But I didn't really have all the tools or the mindset to succeed. So I don't want to ramble on too long here in the first video, but I figured I got to put something up here. And it doesn't have to look fantastic, because really it should just be a share, and that's all it is. There's a couple guys I watch, men and women, that have elaborate settings, and of them just are kind of doing what I'm doing, but maybe in a different part of the world, different countries. But I thought, I don't have to be them. I can just be me. and you can be you. But I think what is important is that you share and let you decide, right? Or let me decide. I'm like, here's what I'm putting out there. In this case, I just want to share some trades, share some dialogues. I feel like I have some really good conversations with other people, local to me or farther away, or even in other countries. Some are immensely successful, you know. I think what matters is helping people, right? I like being helped and helping others. It gives me a good feeling, and I want my kids to hopefully look at that when I'm gone, when they maybe look at this video and say, there's my dad and here's what he was sharing, and maybe it'll inspire them, you know, to do something on their own. So I'm not really scared to do this. I just figured I'm probably going to make an ass of myself here and there, but I think it's good still to share. A lot of times at my job, when I'm sitting with people and the conversations come up, in this case, we're talking about stocks, options, you know, trading and cryptocurrencies and real estate, whatever the topic is, the certain button will get pressed and they're like, oh, the light comes on, and they share their story. And I share mine. And sometimes people will, you know, BS each other. It's not real. They're embellishing and they're not being honest. And I think anything built on lies and, you know, it's just not good, right? It doesn't really help anybody. We should get away from that. We should work towards that. So I want to share that stuff. If I have a conversation, I'm going to do some Zoom calls. I'm going to, for fire, talk to the guys. Hey, would you do a call with me? Can we record it and share? And they're like, yeah, I'll do that. So that's what my plan is to share some of this stuff, talk about the topic. To me, it's an outlet, almost therapeutic, to be able to share and maybe get some positive and negative feedback or to learn something. But I just wanted to share my perspective, and again, this is where I'm coming from. So look forward to that, to sharing. I guess the topic thing I can just quickly share is as I was sitting here and I was eating this Sweet Green salad. Oh, it's empty now. So it's a place called Sweet Green. It's healthier, better than cheeseburger. I was eating that. I was watching on my phone. I put my phone. I was watching a video, and one of the many people that I'll watch a video occasionally. Some people, again, are into sports and the news and stuff like that. I watch different people that post on YouTube. They have channels, and I really enjoy that. I've learned a lot. So I was listening to the guy from Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert, I never can say his name, Kiyosaki. I don't think it's Kiyosaki. And, you know, he's worth, I think, over $100 million. He has 6,000 or 7,000 properties. He's been in the game for a long time. So he's got some stuff that I'll listen to here and there. I don't listen to him religiously, but I do like watching a couple of his videos. Some of the stuff he talks is kind of harsh, or get a little harsh on you. But anyway, I try to get something out of it. And he was talking about gold and silver. Gold, silver, Bitcoin, and of course, real estate. I think he's really hard on real estate. And I was interested in that. And he was talking to someone else. I can't think of his name right now. Jim Turner, maybe? If I can edit it, I'll put it in. Maybe I'll put it down here. By the way, I slammed my finger in the door taking my dogs out. I didn't paint my nail. That's what that is. So they're older guys, right? They're 70s. I don't know how old the guy Jim was, but I looked him up. He was worth like $300 million. So I'm like, all right, these guys obviously are more successful than I am. So what are they talking about? Silver and gold. So they're talking about the gold standard. Now Nixon took the gold out of, he made the announcement in 1971 where the U.S. dollar is no longer backed behind by gold, and the U.S. standard, for gold is changed, and then things were, whatever, all that history stuff that was going on, they were really just talking about history repeating itself, and they were concerned about the future, right? Like things especially for their children and grandchildren. And not Robert, I don't think he has any, but the guy Jim was saying, I have children, and he goes, I'm worried about them and for them, because they're going to inherit all these problems. And I think that's obvious. There's a lot of problems and debt and environment. There's a lot of things that are happening, right? We try not to focus on them. So I was thinking, in my portfolio, if I could draw a circle, right? And I could divide it into little pies. And I say, okay, I'm going to put a little bit here, a little bit diversification, right? Put some of my money here and here. And I'm like, all right, for the options part of my money, if I have $100, and I said, okay, if you could look at it that way, and I could take $100, and I'm going to put $1 or $10 into options, and on the options, I'm going to put $1 into calls and $1 into puts, some into selling. I mean, you couldn't. I'm saying if you could, You can say, okay, I'm gonna buy some calls and sell some calls, buy some puts, sell some puts, and all that entails that whole conversation and the details that go where within it. And I'm gonna lose and I'm gonna win, and hopefully I make some good decisions. Not just gambling like at a roulette wheel where you put money down on all the numbers and hope you hit. There's a little bit more to it than that, but there's the options part of that. And then you have, long stable investments. And you have the S&P, and then you have these different things where people say, hey, invest, and in a decade, these are the type of returns you should get. Just like I know I bought a property, and I'll talk about that in another video, but like I bought a property for 60 grand, and my return was almost 200 grand over the course of 10 years. And I know nothing about real estate. Like that was just something I experienced, and it worked out for me. Things don't always work out. But, so I'm like, okay, and I try to learn from that and then apply it to the next scenario that I go into. So I'm like, what can I invest my money into that the 55-year-old Jamie will thank the 45-year-old Jamie, right? For example. And somebody said that to me once. He's a high up with Fidelity. He's a friend of mine from high school, and he deals with pilots for FedEx. These guys make $200,000-$300,000 a year. And they're investing, and he basically was just saying, Jamie, the 60-year-old you will thank the 40-year-old you when we had this conversation. He goes, so, you got to think about that stuff. And I was like, that's a good way to look at it, because that's going to happen. I was just 20 years old, 30 years old. Now, time is going by. My kids are growing up. So silver and gold, they were saying that silver all-time high was around 50. I haven't researched this stuff. And I think it's right around, it's in the 20s, but you can't buy it. I went on to see where I could buy it. I have to research that because I was like, well, maybe I can buy some. And the guy, Jim, holds up like a coin. It's a silver coin. And he says, hey, right now it's 25 because I think it's going to go back over the all-time highs and eventually go up to 100, I think he was saying. And gold, right? Robert Kiyosaki was saying he bought it when it was 35 bucks. And then he was talking about the history of where it went and dropped and went up. And, now it's like 1,800 bucks. So I can tell you I don't own gold, and I don't have gold bars or silver, bars or anything like that, or coins, and now I was thinking, well, maybe I should make some type of investment. Maybe I should look for silver and gold stocks. I know there's lots of stocks, and that would probably be a different topic. But longevity wise, if I looked at a 5 or 10 year plan, I think that's kind of the stuff that is a conversation. Now, I do know a guy, his name is Craig, I'll just leave it at that, who does. And that's probably somebody I could talk to. Content. And I know he invests in precious metals and stuff like that. So that might be something to talk about because it's interesting to me. I'm like, well, maybe I should diversify some of my money for long term because it's not like it moves crazy like Zoom stock did when I bought it pre-pandemic when it was like around 70, 80 bucks and it went as high as 555. And, for example, and it had such a massive volatility because of the situation. So you don't see that happen. Or AMC, or what was the other one? GameStop, like where those things and the short squeezes and that whole thing. But you got to have some stability. There's some risk on some things, and other are kind of more stable, but you want to be trending up. You want your portfolio to go up. So the big trade, and the thing I'll leave off with here, is about a year ago, of all the things happening in my life and all the things happening in our world, I had bought this thing called Dogecoin, and I had bought kind of by accident. I was just messing around. I bought $2,000 worth of Dogecoin. It was 0.0034. And it gave me 574,000, I believe, 217 coins, tokens, whatever you call them, shares. I thought they were shares. And now I didn't keep them up until when they went to 74 cents. I do have some now. I mean, I have less than 30,000, but I wish I would have kept them. Right? In hindsight, we always say, I wish I should have, could have, I might have, but I was like, wow, man, if I would have kept those up to 74 cents and sold right at the top, I would have made $2,000 and turned it into 700,000. But that didn't happen. But it did make me more aware of like some other possible potential things that might happen. To me, that's kind of lottery stuff. Because a lot of these guys, men and women, that have hit on Bitcoin, right, or have hit on Ethereum or whatever those are, some of them become millionaires, right? or even billionaires. The guy that bought that NFT for 69 million, that was kind of a recently publicized thing. You know, he became a billionaire through that, and he was just an IT guy, you know, in India. And if the story's true, I could link that, but I thought that was interesting. But once you achieve that, you have to kind of like, let's say that you or I made $10 million, $100 million through one of these investments. I mean, there it is. You hit it. I think it can happen. Now you gotta kind of know, what do I do with it here? Because Bitcoin can drop 80% or something like that, 80, 85%, altcoins and all that kind of stuff. So you're gonna be careful. You gotta take profit. That Dogecoin millionaire, one of probably a few that are out there. I mean, he was high. He took around 200 grand at 4 cents. Speaking of Dogecoin, and it went up to $3.5 million. I even sent him an Instagram message. He responded. I was like, man, why didn't you take some of that money? I'm just curious. I was just asking, like, why wouldn't you take $1 million or 10% or something? And he said, well, I don't want to pay taxes. And his goal, he had a plan. Like, he's like, I want to wait till it goes to 10 million. I want to hold it for a year. And I think when it goes, I think it's going to go to $1 to $2 or $2.50. And that's what he thought. I respect the guy for saying, like, regardless of what you say or anyone says, that's just what I'm doing. But I think it's a good idea. What I've learned is as you make gains, to lock in some profits from whatever it is, right? And it's different for each category, whether it's real estate versus just flipping some stuff and maybe reinvesting. And then there's tax purposes and all that other stuff where you want to make the right choices. And then, you know, with stocks and options and long-term investments, and now I'm thinking silver and gold, these are things that we have to consider and then kind of implement. So anyway, that's one of the ideas I had as I'm sitting here about to go in and make this return. Talk to you later.